Welcome back. The number of Gen Zs switching jobs has more than tripled in 2024, and this is according to Workforce Singapore. Some of them are even starting their third or fourth job by the age of 25. The agency says that to date, over 2,400 individuals born after 1997 have enrolled in its career conversion programs, and this is up from just over 300 participants in 2021. Richa Mathew takes a closer look.
First, let's show 5, and then the other hand 1. So what do you get?
At just 25 years old, Nathaniel Wong has had 3 careers, in finance, as a barista, and now a trainee kindergarten teacher.
I think initially in my early stage of life, making all this transition, yes, it seems scary, but I think all in all, I have no regrets because after going through the various industry, I learned about the experience from one industry to another, and all this industry, when combined the experience together, it helps to shape me to who I am today. So transitioning wise, I feel that it's a good opportunity for me to expand my horizon and also learn about different job scope.
Through every shift, he sought help from Workforce Singapore's Career Conversion Program, or CCP. The agency says Gen Zs, or those typically aged below 28, are changing jobs much earlier in life. In fact, from 2021 to May 2025, more than 2,400 Gen Zs took a CCP program with them, going into sectors like air transport and biopharmaceuticals.
We also see, interestingly, that they transitioned from some sectors, including finance and petrochemical. These young working adults are driven by their personal values, their aspirations, and seeking careers where they can make a difference, one that offers meaning and purpose.
It's why the agency is changing tack when it comes to training up these young job seekers. While CCPs have typically been for mid-career switchers, career coaches are starting to engage fresh grads earlier to help them plan their careers.
It's important that they be proactive in terms of acquiring the skill set needed for the job, instead of expecting the new employer to train them. Right, so they can be proactive in equipping themselves with some of the skill set. Then, of course, when they're in the job, they do on-job training. Then, it kind of better match, more aligned as well. They appear more attractive to employers too because they're not starting from zero.
She says doing so could help employers reframe how they view Gen Zs with multiple job changes, not as red flags, but how their experience can add value for the team.
And let's look at this employment trend among Gen Zs with Kirsty Poltok. She is the country manager from Robert Walters Singapore. Ms. Poltok, welcome to Singapore Tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
So on that last point that we heard about whether job hopping is seen as a red flag or not, will Gen Z switching of careers hurt their chances of developing deep skills or specializing? And can that also hurt their job prospects because we are living in this current economic uncertainty?
I think it's very natural that individuals in their 20s would have that curiosity and want to try different things. And I think that's going to continue. But ultimately, what my recommendation would be to Gen Zers is to actually think about what the purpose is of what they're trying to achieve and not just continually hopping around, but trying to build certain skills that they think are going to add value to whatever career choice they're going to focus on so that they can bring something as they move through their career.
Is it just about trying out different things? Because the question is why, right? What is driving them to switch multiple jobs? Is it a search for purpose, better work-life balance, or dissatisfaction, for example?
I think this is the most dynamic part of our workforce now in terms of the individual's expectations, in terms of what they want to get out of their career, the lifestyle balance and their expectations of employers. So I think initially a lot of individuals are just trying to investigate and experiment as to what's going on.
What's the usual duration of their employment in a company?
Typically, maybe a year to 2 years.
A year or two, yeah. So we know right now that AI is growing fast and it is able to replace entry-level jobs very quickly. Will this trend among Gen Zs also cause them to remain in early stage positions longer than previous generations? And could that also possibly put promotion out of reach?
I think this is where a Gen Zer has to be a little bit acting with purpose in terms of how they evaluate their career choices, and trying to stay in roles for longer so they can build those skill sets up. Things that AI cannot do, like curiosity, generate curiosity, have people management skills, influencing skills, those are all things that AI can't generate. So if you can demonstrate those skills as you move into a new role, that would definitely enhance.
Could they also, how could they also future-proof their careers and stay competitive in this workforce increasingly shaped by AI? Should they invest in technical AI literacy or focus more on uniquely human strengths?
I think it's a balance. You cannot shy away from AI. It is here, and there are a number of roles that now will be taken over by AI, but it will not take over all roles in the market. So use AI to your strength, use it to enhance your current skill set and to make what you're doing even more powerful. But don't forget to be human. AI is not human. You can be human. You can use empathy, curiosity, experimental learning. This is not something that AI can provide.
You know, having said all of this, what does this mean for employers, though? Because if Gen Zs don't stay long enough in a company, what does that mean for employers who spend so much time onboarding them, training them, only to lose them when they get bored or when they want to move on to other areas?
I think we're in a totally different employment market landscape currently. And so individuals that would stay 5 or 10 years with organizations just don't exist anymore. If you can get 1 to 2 good years out of an individual where they can contribute and they can learn, that is obviously something that a company would be very positive about. But I think it's also about giving the individuals, whilst they're in the organization, opportunities for learning or rotations or increased responsibility that will help retain them. But at the same time, also creating an environment where individuals want to return back, because that's something we're seeing quite prevalent even with Gen Zers moving around and then maybe coming back to an organization.
So companies should manage or adjust their expectations.
Absolutely. This is the future of the workforce.
Okay, so how can employers then keep the Gen Z staff longer on their payroll? I mean, what are some of the proven strategies that have worked to build loyalty among workers?
Well, look, it's not the ping pong table or the free kombucha. It is thinking more about rotational learning, investing in somebody's skills, giving them increased responsibility at an early tenure, and showing them the benefit of that. Equally, also making sure that you provide some level of flexible working. That's obviously very important with this generation. And just giving them all the tools to understand what is the benefit to them for investing with the company for the long term.
With no employment longevity guaranteed among Gen Zs now, to what extent are employers today hampered in their long-term plans for business expansion, do you think?
I think we're in a really unique situation where employers are actually adapting how they go about their hiring strategy. And they have realized that the Gen Zers are obviously giving maybe 1 to 2 years tenure, but there are a whole other host of tools that employers can utilize. For example, contractors, alumni, what we'd call boomerang employees, so somebody coming back into the organization after some time period. Then, of course, some roles can be taken up by AI. So there are lots of different ways to manage for the short and mid-term without being deterred from the long-term goal of the organization.
What about building long-term strategies around ecosystems of freelancers, gig workers, short tenure employees? Does that work for companies as well?
Absolutely. And we're seeing an increasing rise in this area across Singapore as companies are going through this challenge at the moment. And what it's bringing is an increased talent pool of experienced employees coming to the market that are willing to commit on a gig basis.
All right, Ms. Baltock, thank you so much for speaking with us tonight. That was Kirsty Baltock from Robert Walters Singapore.